Hello and welcome to another edition of Only in Illinois, your weekly recap from Reboot Illinois. I'm Matt Dietrich, and this week started off with just a flicker of hope that we might be about to see some progress on the Illinois budget impasse. Things started out on a promising note with a meeting Monday morning at the Union League Club of Chicago, where the Illinois Campaign for Political Reform and Truth in Accounting had assembled a panel of 8 lawmakers to talk about the state budget. The 4 Democrats and 4 Republicans definitely had different views on who's responsible for the budget impasse, but they also made it clear that if not for the epic struggle between Governor Bruce Rauner and House Speaker Michael Madigan, we would have had a budget a long time ago. Now here is Senator Matt Murphy. He's a Republican from Palatine, and he gives his view.
The matter is, if this were left to the Senate Democrats and the governor, and frankly a lot of rank and file House Democrats, this would have been done last spring.
Now, a day after that conference at an event in Springfield by the Illinois Chamber of Commerce, Senate President John Cullerton got applause when he revealed, much to everyone's surprise, that he, Madigan, Rauner, and the Republican leaders, Jim Durkin and Christine Radogno, were going to meet together later that afternoon to talk about the budget. This would be the first meeting like that in more than 5 months, so it was really good news, and it was also a surprise. Nobody really knew about that, and so here's a little bit from President Cullerton.
In the top legislators meeting, they're going to meet with the governor today at 2:30. So you have a little news there for you. And we're going to talk about the budget. So that's encouraging.
Okay, now after Cullerton's question and answer session, after he spoke at the chamber event, Governor Rauner took the stage and he reiterated a lot of the things that he said before. Specifically, his biggest thing is he's not going to approve a tax increase if he doesn't get some reforms first. So here's the governor.
Mostly the Democrats are avoiding saying what they really want is to force a big tax hike. When they say focus on the budget, that's what they mean. They just don't, that's code. So we've got to understand what the fight's about. And let me be clear, I can never and will never support a tax hike without significant reforms. Just won't do it. Just cannot do it.
Now, what made this different, though, is that Rauner also added a new twist when he described what he thinks is the next major move related to the state budget.
And I'm also hearing that our Attorney General is planning to go to court in the next couple of weeks to try to force the end of payments to our state employees, to try to force a government shutdown, to force a tax hike. They're going to try to use the latest Supreme Court rulings about appropriations trumping contracts to say state employees should not be paid anymore, even though they're working. And by the way, the legislature made sure they always get continuing appropriations. The legislature always gets paid. State employees, though, no, they don't want them paid. The Attorney General is going to try to cut off the pay to the state workers, to try to force a crisis, force a shutdown of the government, to try to force a tax hike. That's going on right now.
Now, I've said several times here and on RebootIllinois.com that I think Lisa Madigan could force an end to the budget crisis if she brings that case, because a true government shutdown, that's the government shutdown where state offices close and you can't get your driver's license renewed and the employees are sent home or forced to work without being paid, would create so much public fury that Rauner and Madigan, they would very quickly find a way to get a budget done. And really, the only reason this thing could drag out for the 10 months that it's dragged out is because last summer, a judge in St. Clair County ruled that state employees had to be paid even though there's no state budget authorizing their pay. And the ruling said that the state constitution requires that there be a state budget authorizing state employee pay, but state employees are also working under contract with the government, the union contracts, and therefore their contracts superseded the Constitution's requirement for a budget before paychecks. Now, on March 24th, the Illinois State Supreme Court said in effect that that ruling was wrong. And that's what Governor Rauner was referring to in his speech. Okay, so you have John Cullerton happy that they're all going to meet. You have the governor admitting that a real government shutdown could be imminent. And you have all 5 leaders getting together after 5 months of no budget discussions whatsoever. Now, I have to admit, I was cautiously optimistic when I heard about this meeting, and I was kind of eager to see what they had to say afterwards. The meeting was at 2:30 p.m. on Monday, and my optimism, and I think everyone else's, lasted till right about 4 p.m., and that's when House Speaker Michael Madigan stood up on the floor of the Illinois House and gave this speech, and here are a few excerpts.
The governor's objections to House Democratic budget priorities are based on his insistence that the General Assembly first pass his personal agenda, which is targeted at diminishing the wages and the standard of living of the middle class and other struggling families. We have had and we will continue to have our differences. But differences with governors is not new to me, nor is it something that has prevented me from working with governors of both political parties for the good of the people of Illinois in passing state budgets. Many of you will recall the very strong differences that I had with former Governor Rod Blagojevich. However, we found a way to compromise. Never before has the state gone this long without a budget. Every other governor that I have worked with has negotiated with the General Assembly in good faith. The fact is, the current budget crisis was completely avoidable. While this crisis was avoidable, Governor Rauner has refused to put an end to the crisis. And some of his remarks in recent years clearly indicate that this has been his plan from the very beginning. At the Tazewell County Republican Party's Lincoln Day dinner, March 2013, Governor Rauner said, and I quote, "Even if Democrats got a major majority against us, you know what? They can't stop us. They won't stop me if I want to dramatically spend less. You need the legislature if you want to spend more. If you want to spend less, they can't stop me." And I apologize. We may have to go through a little rough times. If we have to do what Ronald Reagan did with the air traffic controllers, if we sort of have to do a do-over and shut things down for a little while, like universities and social service providers, that's what we're going to do. That is why I will continue to make my top priority a budget that takes a balanced approach to prevent the most critical state services from being decimated by personal political agendas.
So in my opinion, now we wait for Lisa Madigan to go to court and halt the paychecks for state employees. After Tuesday, and after that brief flash of optimism, I think the pressure that's going to come from public outcry over a full state government shutdown is the only thing that'll make Rauner and Speaker Madigan get something figured out. I wish I had some better news, and I really do appreciate you watching. Now, hopefully, I'll have some better news on the budget or on something else in state government on next week's edition of Only in Illinois. Thanks for watching.